Hello and welcome back to Continental Club, where we discuss the hottest topics in European football. Joining me today is Chris Hamill and Michael McCubbin for your viewing pleasure. Today we are talking about Monstrous Messi's question, because they have asked, has Icardi been the best attacking purchase in Europe this season? But before we dive into underrated signings, just a quick reminder to subscribe to EuroFootball Daily and hit that notification bell to never miss a video. If you're bored of me saying that, then we all need to subscribe, or you all need to subscribe rather, and then we'll stop saying it. But we're approaching 1/3 into the season, and there's been quite a few signings that have really fared very strongly on the continent. One of which, Chris, is leading an unlikely title charge in the Bundesliga.
Yes, I'm going to start with the son of Lilian Thuram. It is, of course, Marcus, who came through the academy at Sochaux, making 43 appearances for the League Two side, only scoring one goal before joining Guingamp for €640,000 in July 2017. Obviously saw something in him, as did Gladbach. After some solid seasons at Guingamp, he's yet to be really prolific over the course of a campaign. Of course, has started this one extremely well, which we will get to in a second. But his 17-18 numbers looked a little bit like this. 32 league and games, 3 goals, 1 assist. I think they finished 12th that campaign. And his underlying numbers that year, 2.4 shots, 1.1 key passes, 2.7 dribbles is very big. And as the Bundesliga's official YouTube channel describes him, sturdy on more than one occasion. They're obsessed with the word sturdy apparently. And an expected goals and assist value of 0.35 per game. So, okay, pretty solid for a breakout campaign. Then in 18-19, they took a sizable leap. So 32 league and games again, 9 goals, 1 assist. But they finished rock bottom. So he couldn't quite keep his side up. 2.2 shots, 1.3 key passes, and again those dribbles being the standout statistic in his armoury. 3.5 completed per 90, and that supercharges expected goals to 0.46 per 90, which again that's an above league average striker. So that's not going to catch maybe the eyes of scouts at top clubs, but we know Marco Rose operates in a different way. He operates in a savvier way, doesn't he? So Gladbach snap him up in July 2019 on a 4-year deal for just €9.5 million. That's about the same price that Lille paid for Timothy Weah. So again, I don't think there was massive competition for his signature, if I can remember correctly.
Pretty mad, considering how well he did for such a lowly club.
And he was identified by quite a lot of statos, wasn't he? So to get him under €10 million, somewhat of a bargain. Featured in all of their league and Europa League games so far. Started pretty slowly, but he's got 6 goals and 5 assists in 15 games so far. His shots have remained around the 2 mark. So his habit of being, quite decisive is serving him very well. He could probably do with taking some more shots, but Gladbach have a very good forward line, don't they? So maybe that's not his chief role. 1.7 key passes, 2.1 dribbles. So what we can notice there from those stats is his key passes have gone up a little bit. Everything else has come down. So his role is probably to create along that forward line. 0.98 expected goals and assists per 90. So like I said, only 1 in 6 in the first few games. But after that has been bloody unreal. 7 goals and 5 assists in his subsequent 11 performances. Only 4 players have more minutes for Marco Rose's side as well this year. He's their top goal scorer and top assister, belying those sort of shot figures that I was talking about before. But 5th for shots in the side, 4th for key passes, and 4th for dribbles. So again, is he running a little bit hot at the moment? Can he sustain this form over the course of a season? Question marks, but I wouldn't put it beyond him because he's still a young man. He's still improving. He's still finding his feet in the Bundesliga. So just a very good start. Gladbach, it helps when the team at large have been awesome recently. So since the start of September 8th, I've got down here 7 wins, 1 loss, 20 goals in that time and only conceding 6. Now,
Real form.
They're 4 points ahead in the Bundesliga. That's ahead of Bayern, Leipzig, and Freiburg, who are sort of there. Freiburg again, kind of not expected to be in and amongst it. Similar to Gladbach, but they are. And expected goals suggest they have the second best attack, so their attack is sort of in and around where they are, but the 10th best defence. Apparently that equates to third overall. Again, the wonders of XG. Nonetheless, Bayern and Leipzig have scored more than them, and Wolfsburg have conceded less than them. So they've just been very good all-rounders. There's still room for improvement. Marco Rose, maybe his system kind of defies expected goal metric, a little bit in the same way that Lucien Favre, the side have done in the past. So maybe statistically, we won't see them really excel in any one given field, but as a unit, they've been pretty bloody impressive so far. Marcus Thuram has been at the forefront of that. And I was reading, he's been clocked at 34.5 kilometres per hour this season already, which is probably top 5 in the Bundesliga, certainly the fastest at Gladbach. And I think completes around 30 sprints a game, which puts him in the top 20. So just an extremely useful, mobile, strong, decisive individual. He's going to be a handful for any defence in that league.
Yeah, and they've got options alongside him as well. I've been really impressed with his link up with Alisson Player as well, who we've talked about for quite a while from his days at Nice beforehand. And Breland Bolo's chipped in as well. Florian Neuhaus in midfields play very well alongside Dennis Zakaria. So there's lots of people who are really performing at their best for Gladbach. I probably would say a sustained title challenge is probably beyond them this year. But what a start. And I think they've been now top of the Bundesliga for about 5 game weeks or so. And the last time they did that, they went on to win the title. But you imagine, depending on Hansi Flick does in his 2 or 3 months in charge, or maybe until the end of the year, judging on that performance against Dortmund, Bayern are going to come back with a vengeance, and they definitely won't want to give up this crown easily. But they definitely look like they're in the mix for the top 2 or 3 teams, with Dortmund sort of struggling at points this year. Too many draws and getting obviously that hammering at the hands of Bayern Munich as well. McCubs, another striker we need to talk about, whose transfer sort of for me went slightly under the radar. I think I was on holiday when it went through, and I didn't really notice until I come back, and then suddenly he's off at Monaco. Ben Yedder. Yes. What a start for him.
Yeah, pretty amazing, to be honest. Obviously, a much more established name than someone like Marcus Thuram, 29 years old, cost Monaco 42 million euros, 40 million euros, I might have got that wrong. But either way, huge fee for, a striker kind of, aging out or someone who'll be probably aging out in the next couple of years. And a striker who, you would never put him in kind of Europe's elite, as it were. And despite, good form at Sevilla, and he was very good, especially in his final season. Obviously got 18 goals in the league last season, 18 goals overall the season before. So, one of La Liga's top strikers last season, only topped by Messi, Benzema, Suarez, Aspas and Stuani. So, very important player for them. And Stuani had a pretty ridiculous couple of seasons at Girona, didn't he? But rose to the occasion as well. Obviously scored the winner against Man United in the Champions League back in 2018. Had something like 3 goals and 4 assists against top 4 opposition in La Liga. So
good game plan.
very very much not a bad signing by any means, but that fee does raise question marks for sure. But so far, he's proved the doubters wrong. He's got 9 goals in all in Liga and so far. I think XG has him about just under 7, so running a little bit hot. But to be honest, when you're part of an attack that has been kind of constructed at Monaco this season, you're always going to get chances. I think in some ways an even more impressive acquisition is his strike partner Islam Slimani, who obviously is on loan from Leicester. 5 goals and 7 assists. And for me personally, I just love seeing a little large combination up front.
Yeah.
I really like. It's such a. I thought it was a breed that was completely dead. And I was just watching some of their link up earlier, and there's one goal I think against Brest, which is just brilliant. Just a looping nowhere ball into the box. Slimani just heads it down into the ground. And Ben Yedder catches it on the bounce, and it's just it is like.
He's telling us that Monaco have turned into Burnley.
Yeah, it's brilliant. But just all round, really really impressive start to life at Monaco. Obviously, there's a bit of a step down in terms of going from La Liga to Ligue 1, and Monaco haven't exactly been amazing, but they've been a lot better than they were last year. I think they didn't win in their first 6 games, but they've improved a lot since then. They're 11th now, which isn't spectacular, but I think they're only 4 points off second place Marseille.
So yeah, it's tight.
So yeah, I think generally speaking, it's a lot more positive at the Principality. I was looking, and last season, obviously, they've been fairly over reliant on Falcao for the last 2 years before he left, and last season he got 15 goals. So Slimani and Ben Yedder together have pretty much made up that output already, and obviously they've got more assists to their name as well. And also their form has also brought in Alexander Golovin into his own form. I think he's got 3 goals and 2 assists, and he just I think just with those 2 focal points in front of him, just gives him a little bit more to aim at. He's looked a lot better, kind of showing the kind of form that he did, obviously for Russia at the 2018 World Cup, where we were all kind of spellbound by him. So just all round, I think Monaco's attack looks a lot more functional than it did before. And obviously Ben Yedder has a big part to play in that. I think, in terms of, I don't know whether you'd call it necessarily underrated just because that price tag, but when you factor in the Slimani transfer as well, and if they can get Slimani for a good price from Leicester come the end of the season, which I expect they probably will do. He's definitely earned his right for a permanent move. If they can have them both for under 50 million, then that's pretty good, at least in the short term. I know Slimani's 31, but for the next season or two, they've got quite a good partnership. Yeah,
Monaco literally put themselves in that circumstance where they had needed people, just even if they were post 30, they needed to get people to produce form straight away. He needs to get proven talent in.
No, he's been phenomenal. He looks. It's unfair to pick up someone's personal appearance, but he doesn't look like a footballer at all, Ben Yedder. He's he's got this barrel chest, and he's got quite a bizarre running style, but his movement in the box, and where he picks up spaces, he rarely takes shots outside the box. I think it's about 0.2 of his close to 3 shots are outside the box, all pretty much around the 6-yard box, but he's just got great anticipation. He's not the quickest, but his striking instincts are just so sharp. And they've got backup from not just Golovin, but Gelson Martins, who's not quite got going this year, but Fabregas has played very well again. So now, Hardim's got more options at his disposal, and in a quite open Liga, other than PSG, I think they could probably get into the top 4 mix, especially considering Lyon's struggles. And Marseille have put together a good recent run as well. So Ben Yedder definitely got a shout for underrated signing. What a performance so far. Quite bizarre that Sevilla let him go, to be honest, because considering he was their top scorer for 3 seasons in a row. Yeah. But they seem to have really hedged their bets on sort of Luke de Jong, Muniz de Boer, and neither of those, Campos as well, has played very well. But neither of those 2 moves have gone exactly to plan. But I'm going to stick with another suggestion from Liga, which is Mario Icardi's loan move from Inter Milan, who they have an option to buy at the end of the year for 55 million. And I'd be surprised if they didn't. So what I wasn't quite aware of is before Inter loaned him, they gave him another 2-year contract. But I think that was so if the move to PSG didn't go well, they'd still make money on him. If they were to sell him, or if PSG didn't want him but the move did go well, they still could make maximum money out of him. So quite a good business move from Inter Milan. Obviously, he had quite a lot to prove after the events of 18-19 in February. Everyone knows Wondanara, his wife, went on an Italian TV station, I think it was called Tic Taka, and criticised Spalletti pretty publicly. I was going to say violently, but it wasn't violent. It was just public.
Yeah.
And he then went on a sort of 53-day hiatus. Refused to play in a Champions League game, then got stripped of the captaincy, then went on the hiatus, came back and got a goal and assist in his return game, and that took him to 8th on Inter's all-time scoring record, which is quite an achievement considering he was only there, I think 6 years or so. Is really quite an achievement, and his goals to game ratio at Inter Milan was actually 3rd best in their history.
Wow.
So very good player for Inter Milan, but come pre-season, Conte was like, you're not coming on our pre-season tour. We're bringing in Lukaku. They targeted him for a few months, or a few weeks at least, got him in towards the end of the deal, towards the end of the window rather, and Icardi went to PSG and had a pretty slow start. His first 3 games, I don't think he netted, but since October, he's been absolutely incredible. So 5 games, 6 goals and 1 assist in October. And in a period when Cavani's been out injured, Neymar's been out injured, Mbappe's been out injured, the likes of Icardi, Di Maria, Sarabia have really had to step up, and they've done so in spectacular fashion. Obviously, PSG have had some damaging sort of Ligue 1 results to the likes of Brest. Brest they ended up winning, but nearly lost that. Dijon, Rennes, Stade Reims. So they haven't been at their best in Ligue 1, but the side with Icardi, particularly in the Champions League, have looked fantastic. And Tuchel's been sort of mixing and matching in Ligue 1. It seems like he's really prioritised the Champions League this year, and rightly so, to get over that sort of quarter-final block that they've got. But in the Champions League, it's been Icardi starting, Mbappe coming to the fore, and Di Maria, who I think has been one of the best players in Europe at the start of this year, to be honest, probably behind Lewandowski and maybe Timo Werner. And Icardi, his shot numbers are never awesome. So they're around 2.5 or so. But he just picks up great areas, and his anticipation is always awesome. So his passing's never been greatly involved in general play. So it was about 15 passes per game last year. Now it's dropped down to 7.
His shots are up there, right? It's around 4.7.
Oh, okay, sorry. It was 2.5 last year, but up quite considerably. So he's
all in the
he's
box
getting involved
well.
all in the box, and his reading of the game is just faultless, really. I think he gets this unfair criticism that he's not involved in general play enough. But when it comes to certain players like Icardi, Vardy as well, it's not the biggest detriment if they're so lethal in the box. And he's linked up really well with Di Maria at times. Obviously, he knows him from international level. So it's all going pretty well from him. And his expected goals and assists per 90 is 1.72.
Wow.
Although in under 400 minutes. So it'll be interesting to see how that levels out. And Cavani actually started their game at the weekend against Brest, which Icardi then had to come on the fort and scored the winner in the 85th minute. So it'll be interesting to see when all their men are back, which Neymar's expected to come back for the Real Madrid game, I think in about a few weeks' time, which we're hoping to stream on EFD right here for another Total Football. So that will be fascinating to see how Tuchel uses his resources. But PSG, flying in the Champions League. They look like sort of in and amongst the favourites now, alongside sort of the Man City and Liverpool's, and maybe Bayern Munich's. Where do you guys see, say Cavani does come back, do you think he goes in as instant number 9, given Icardi's last month or so?
I don't think so. I think he's got to fight for his place, surely. I do really like Cavani, and he's been pretty underrated over the last 2-3 seasons. But I just think when you've got Icardi running so good right now, and I mean Icardi's not even had that much game time, like you were saying. I think you've got to let him, just let him do his thing. And Cavani's obviously not going to be as sharp coming back from a long-term injury as well. Older, I don't know. If it's working for PSG at the moment, I just don't see why you change it.
So Tuchel didn't have the luxury of rotation as well, did he? At large points throughout last campaign, the squad, despite their spending, was actually a little bit threadbare.
Particularly in forward areas. Yeah.
And I mean, surprising selling attacking talents like Nkunku, who we might come on to in a little bit, to RB Leipzig. But the Icardi signing was a little bit baffling because after the Neymar fiasco, let's call it, of the summer, where he was, peddling for a move to Barcelona, the chairman was openly saying, we don't want to sign superstars. They signed players like Sarabia, who are kind of more low-key, consummate professionals, or at least have lower profiles and don't kind of...
Not the same ego, at least.
Yeah, that their name doesn't carry the same sort of weight. Then they go and sign, someone that comes with all this baggage in the form of Mauro Icardi. And I actually think they were smart betting him in the way they did. He did have a small knock. He only played 87 minutes in his first month, didn't he? But they kind of kept with Sarabia. They weren't exactly saying that here's our Cavani replacement. And I think they'll probably go about that for the next 2 or 3 months. I think Cavani has built up the right to kind of be injured and then come straight back in. So I think he'll probably be used at least for the lower profile Ligue 1 games, and you might see Icardi start in the Champions League. But I think Icardi, given that he was running out of options, given that PSG weren't necessarily after a player of his profile, his off the pitch profile, let's say, because everyone can use Icardi on the pitch, he'll probably, that might have been a little bit of a humbling experience for him. So he might be, willing to kind of be a bit more of a rotation option in the opening, third of the season. But I do think by the end of the season, those MLS links are persisting with Cavani, aren't they? I do think he'll be sizing up a move elsewhere, and there'll be a handing of the baton. Le
baton. It's going to be fascinating. Tuchel now with so many options. McCubbs, we've talked about 3 sort of reasonably high-profile moves. Have you got anyone else that sort of caught your eye as a more sort of under sort of sold signing, at least not got quite the same attention?
Yeah, I mean, if we're looking outside top 5 leagues, it's hard to look past Lisandro Martinez at Ajax. Been really, really impressed by him since he's obviously come from Argentina, brought in kind of as a De Ligt replacement almost. Obviously, that's a big. Those are big shoes to fill, but actually,
quite literally as well.
He's ended up being more of a De Jong replacement, which is quite interesting. Obviously, he's been pushed into central midfield as kind of Veltman's taken that place alongside Blin at centre back, and yeah, his numbers in midfield are excellent. I think he's clocking up like 4.6 tackles and interceptions per game in the Champions League. I think he's completing 4 long balls a game, 90% pass completion, 71 passes a game. So he's just fitted into Ten Hag's system seamlessly.
When we were doing the live stream, I was looking at him thinking, where have you come from?
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of the signing. Like, what is his past? What does his past look like?
Well, I mean, he's only 21 years old, and he comes from Defensa in Argentina. I don't really know much. I don't really know much more.
They don't concede many goals.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, comes from very good, comes from very good kind of heritage in that sense. But he cost them 7.4 million euros. I don't really know that much about his past, but clearly, exactly.
I think they were they're quite a low level top tier club, if that makes sense. They're sort of a mid-table side, but they had a quite unlikely title challenge. Last year until about halfway through the year. And I think they reached like the quarter-finals of the Copa Libertadores, and Lisandro Martinez was quite crucial. And then got this move to Ajax. But as you say, it's been pretty seamless, really. Yeah,
and I guess that's kind of credit to Ten Hag's system as well. Like, he's just been able to, rearrange things slightly with losing his 2 best players pretty much, and Ajax look nearly as strong as they did last season. Yeah. So I think that's a very underrated transfer. Definitely on behalf of on Ajax's part.
Yeah, I think if Ten Hag can mask those outgoings, or at least make up for them with system, if people see they've not suffered after losing 2 generational talents like that, someone of massive caliber, a big club will come in for him. Like, if he can sell those pair and they can still go deep in the Champions League, someone will definitely move for him. I already touched upon Campos, didn't you? He's been great at not Marseille, at Sevilla, kind of in the absence of any form or minutes from Munas de Boer, which has proved to be a fairly shocking move, hasn't it? I've already mentioned Nkunku. I think he's got 10 Bundesliga starts, 7 goal contributions, so a really good start to life in Germany for him. Luis Muriel definitely deserves a shout out. He's been ridiculous for Atalanta at a time when they desperately needed him, because Duvan Zapata, their talisman from last year, has a long-term injury, doesn't he? And 5 starts in the league, 8 goals. Just ridiculous.
Under 500 minutes.
Under 500 minutes. So his stats, I'm going to give you some of his underlying numbers, but bear in mind the sample size isn't massive. 5.5 shots, 1.8 key passes, 1.8 dribbles. Expected goal and assist value of 1.33 per game. Obviously that will go down, but the start he's made means that he's just going to have a solid return come the end of the season.
Yeah, it's mad.
And they did pay 18.7 million euros for him. And he's not exactly young, is he?
28.
Yeah. So it was probably a bit of a calculated risk, but Gasperini's been justified spending that decent outlay already, which is nice as a manager, isn't it? And then Nicolas Barella, I think, is just a supremely talented footballer. Puts up great numbers all over the field. And Conte, in that kind of midfield, 3-4, in that 2, that central midfield pairing, they're always dons, aren't they?
Yeah.
And him and Brozovic is just like, mamma mia.
Yeah, I know. Although there are quite a lot of jokes on Twitter that they need to give Brozovic a break. I didn't realise that he'd played pretty much every single minute in midfield, which is kind of concerning
probably waiting
for
his form to drop before he drops him, which is just
exactly. But you do need to, if you want to go deep in the Champions League, maybe he's just thinking that they'll maybe sack that off and go, well, not sack it off, but be less concerned about that and just try and keep the title.
He does like to have a very settled team, though, doesn't he?
He does. Yeah. He's not exactly. Yeah, that's a very good point actually. I remember his Chelsea side, there was barely any change whatsoever. A couple more shouts. Dario Benedetto, pretty underrated. Didn't know a lot about him before. He's 29, striker. Went from Boca Juniors to Marseille. Marseille haven't had the best of time of it under AVB. Injury-wise it is. They're now second. But Florian Thauvin picked up an injury pretty early on in September, which I think is keeping him out till January. And him and Dimitri Payet pretty much keeping them afloat at the moment. And then one from La Liga, I think Rodrigo's probably done a lot more already than people would have expected. He hasn't had a whole lot of games so far, so he's played 6 League and Champions League games. But he's got 5 goals and 1 assist, which for an 18-year-old signed with this big reputation from Santos for a massive fee, going to a new country, new, completely different pace of game, the whole, everything that comes with joining Real Madrid. I think that's really, really impressive.
He's already usurped Vinicius Junior, hasn't he?
Really,
as a starter on the pitch. And Vinicius Junior had a fine time of it, in the opening period of his career at Real Madrid.
Yeah, exactly. So there's options all over the continent. If we had to give our top underrated signing, so out of all the names we've mentioned, McCubs, what are you thinking?
Well, it's difficult.
It's quite difficult. I have put you on the spot.
Yeah, I think Muriel's hard to look past. I mean, we'll see how the rest of the season goes, but considering it's something like, he's like played the 15th most minutes in the squad and he's their top scorer, is just outrageous. I can't remember the last time I saw like someone, kind of belie the kind of the minutes so much. Who did you speak about, Hamill?
Thuram.
Yeah, I think Thuram's been pretty.
Thuram's got to be
for
up
for the price point. Like unbelievable, but and whilst he was, what did I say, like a top goal scorer, top assister, there has been other people that probably, like maybe Gladbach could deal with his absence probably better than an Atalanta with Luis Muriel. Sorry.
True.
So you have to kind of weigh up that aspect of it, but in pound for pound. Yeah, Thuram's pretty hard to beat.
Yeah, he definitely is. I'll give a shout out to Barella though. Really enjoyed watching him play, and Sensi as well, who could have been in this as well, but he's been injured in the last few games.
And he's supposed to be a central midfielder.
And he's supposed to be a central midfielder.
It's just like his numbers are ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. Just doing a bit of everything. Absolutely joy to watch Sensi. But yeah, that's our take on who have been the most underrated transfers so far on the continent. But let us know what you guys think about what we've said and who you'd put forward in the comments down below. Let's move on to quickfire questions. No big match preview this week because it's the international break, so we're just doing one quickfire question, and this one came in from Cameron Smith 10, regular contributor. Thank you very much, Cameron. He has said, what are your Serie A top 4 predictions? McCubs, I don't know who you predicted at the start of the season, but have you changed your mind at all?
I think I probably just went for Juve at the start of the season, to be honest.
Actually, I remember now, you're now angling towards Inter.
I'm definitely angling towards Inter. I tipped Inter last season, because I thought they'd had a really good summer, and turned out actually it was a bit more disjointed. Then I kind of thought,
start, didn't they, last season? And to this season, they were really good at the start.
They were very good, yeah.
Were they? Yeah.
And they're very dodgy, like December, January, February.
Middle
they
third,
usually do get that as well, but at least there's not. Then at least they're not kind of over reliant on someone like they were on Icardi before. I feel like there's just a bit more going on across the field with them now, and obviously Conte is just a fantastic manager. So I'm actually going to stick with Inter first. Nice. I think Juve got to be second, haven't they? Like I can't see them slipping below second, even if they do give up the title. And then third and fourth would be interesting. I think it's kind of hard to look past Atalanta at the moment. Obviously, if Muriel keeps up this kind of form, they're still the top scorers in Serie A as well, by a little way, and I think on expected goals as well, they're top as well. So if they don't ship too many goals, I think Atalanta could even get third. Did they get third last season? I think they might have done.
They were third.
They were third because Napoli was second.
Yeah, so
but Napoli were 10 points ahead of Atalanta, so it wasn't a very interesting title race.
Yeah, of course, but yeah, and obviously with what's going on at Napoli at the moment, you wouldn't back them to finish in the top 4 right now. So yeah, that fourth place is an interesting one. I'm not really.
I think at the moment Lazio and Roma are in the mix.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris, you
Cagliari
and Cagliari as well, of course.
Let's not forget Cagliari.
Yeah, that unbelievable start.
I've just pronounced Cagliari right,
and you did
3
it.
times
you
on the
did
bounce.
It, exactly.
Cagliari, I've mastered it, lads.
Yeah, Nainggolan, unbelievable.
It's a little fairy tale story, isn't it? And who would begrudge Nainggolan a tremendous season given what's happening off the pitch as well with him. So to put up those sort of numbers, given the circumstances, brilliant. But I think the team are quite fortunate to be there. But long may it continue, because we all love an underdog story, don't we? But you're right in saying that Napoli, at this point, they're 7th. Expected points has them at 7th. they're going to struggle to finish in the top 4. And this is a team
Civil war.
that should have won at least one title in the last 4 years, given the football they've played. It's an absolute crime they've not. And now Sarri might win the league, kind of playing disjointed but winning football. So it's
The irony, actually. The absolute irony.
Who could begrudge him that? I do think the only challenges to Inter's hegemony is to Juventus's hegemony is Inter, which is alarming at this stage of the season, because you really wanted the likes of Atalanta and Napoli to build on the promising campaigns they had last year, but they've got marginally worse, or in Napoli's case, significantly worse for kind of off the pitch reasons as well as on it. So just by virtue of being consistent, Juventus will finish first or second again. That's kind of what they are, isn't it? Ruthlessly consistent. So I see the top 4. Annoyingly, probably Juventus. You know, they're not even getting the best out of Ronaldo's kind of underperforming at the moment. Dybala's coming on and saving them in various games. Like, you'd imagine that the football can only get better there. You know, well, touch wood if you're a Juve fan. Then Inter, but I do think Conte will win a league title in the next 2 years, or was he signed a 3-year contract? He'll win a title, I think, in that period. Given the average age of Juve's squad is like 28 something, Inter have kind of future-proofed themselves slightly better. And then third, probably, Simone Inzaghi at Lazio probably deserves a top 4 finish. I think they were quite unfortunate not to get into the Champions League last year. So hopefully, I'm not hoping good things for Lazio. That's weird. Atalanta and then one of Roma or Lazio to round off the top 4.
Nice, I like it. I'm going to go Inter, hopefully, just because I'm enjoying watching them far more than Juventus this year. Inter, Juve, Atalanta, and then Roma. I haven't caught enough of Roma so far, and it's the same old story with them in terms of, Kolarov, Dzeko,
Chris Smalling.
Chris Smalling,
Absolutely
exactly.
it.
Who would
Big
begrudge
up
Chris
Chris Smalling.
Smalling?
They've already
a
tried to
victory
buy
in
him on a
Rome.
permanent, haven't they?
Yeah.
I think so. And
already.
Supposedly AC are looking at it, and AC and Inter was in this week's or the weeks before transfer talk. But I feel like the Serie A even is quite similar to the Premier League in that there's 2 outstanding teams and then about 6 very good but kind of flawed sides. So it's going to be fascinating to see from 3rd to sort of 6th, 7th area. But let us know who you guys think will win Serie A and your top 4 predictions in the comments down below. And that's all we've got time for on Continental Club for this week. McCubs, would you like to push to anything?
I'm trying to think what's going on. Journeyman, obviously, we've pushed that quite a lot recently, but if you haven't already, go into Football Daily and watch Journeyman. Me and James going around the country to different clubs. And our first episode was at Notts County. Really fascinating story there. Obviously, here we've got Stat Wars, which is hotting up quite a lot. I believe you and Pat's showdown went out yesterday, Hamill.
Yeah. Yeah, it didn't go well.
Squeaky bum time.
Very much squeaky bum time.
And of course, the Extra Time podcast is live now, so go and download that. Hopefully, Temps will put a link in the description. Do obviously make sure of that. And yeah, you can watch it because listen to it. Our new slot is Thursdays.
Yeah, don't miss it. And go over to Football Daily and check out, I was about to call it VFN, check out We Need to Talk.
Wow, blast on the back.
Hasn't been VFN for quite a while. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye.
See ya.